Hello, YouTubers. I just want to read out a dream vision experience that I have actually found on Google. It's about the end times. It's about a 15-year-old boy that had this vision that was to be was supposed to start coming into fruition in about 2012. And I think it's a very good, a very powerful vision, and I'm going to read it out to you. It's quite long, so I might have to put this up in about, I don't know, 4 parts. But it's well worth listening to the whole vision itself. It's very good. I'll start this off. I'll keep adding more in the description box who the man's name, the name of his name, if I can find it later on. Anyway, I'll read it. I'll get started. I've tried putting this up many ways on other channels, and I've been having computer problems, YouTube problems, and people have come back to me saying we can't hear it. So now I've gone out and bought a new microphone, set the computer up differently, and I'm having, it's probably about 8 hours I've spent trying to get the computer going right, the microphone going right. So I'm just hoping that you can hear this all right, because people are saying they can't hear it. And I'm doing my best to try and get this so people can hear this clearly. So I'm hoping it works this time. So, well, enough said. I'm going to start. Dream vision experience. I was raised an atheist, utterly godless, not even agnostic. No gods, no fairies, no Santas or bunnies. Believed nothing at all. I saw all the trouble and confusion it caused and wanted nothing to do with it. I see Christians always fighting and debating and being hypocrites all the time. I see the New Agers not really having a clue what it is they actually believe in and going in circles. I see all the other religions all banging their head on a wall but achieving nothing but headaches. I wanted no part in it and still don't. You'd have to excuse me because I'm going to have to roll this down, and I might have to I've got to keep finding the spot, so excuse me. Here we go. But I had a vision when I was 15 that changed my life, but it was not until about a year ago it took effect, and according to the dream it will not be until after tomorrow, 28th of December 2012, when I turn 44, that it finds fulfillment. I was 15, still a kid, but wondering what it was all about, seeing as everything was so totally pointless and without a reason or a goal. Being an atheist is the most pointless life one can live, so empty of purpose or meaning, and like all kids I needed purpose and meaning, so the dream vision came along. It was September the 28th, 1984, a day I will never forget, because it's the day my life was taken right out of my hands, and I realized that none of us really have a choice, only a will directed by the one who makes the choices. I remember so clearly sitting on my bed that night, looking out the window at the stars, wondering why they were there, what purpose they served, if any at all. I remember asking the same thing of myself. What was my purpose? Did I have a purpose? Or was it all pointless, an illusion, meaningless and dead? That night I lay down on my bed, still wondering what it was all about, and I had a dream or a vision, not sure which, but it was incredibly vivid. I was there, could feel, hear, smell where I was. Keep in mind, up until that point, I had never even looked into a Bible or any religious book, so what I saw was not previously planted in there. One moment I was on my bed in a half-awake, half-sleep state, a trance you might call it, that zone you are in where you are still aware but also not aware. I found myself about 200 meters in the air, an air that was not air as we know it. I looked around in shock. I was there. This was no dream. I panicked at first because I thought I was dead, and for all I know I was. After adjusting to this shock, I was able to look around me, where I was and what I saw. spreading around me in every direction to a horizon that just was not there, was the most incredible landscape I have ever seen. No majestic scene on earth comes close to this. Awesome. The scope of it endless and solid and real. Vast jungles, parks, majestic, mighty mountains, oceans the size of earth itself, and lakes as big as oceans. Waterfalls 100 kilometers high, mighty rivers packed with life, crystal clear. The trees, small and great, colourful, detailed, each one unique, and some full of flowers of colours vivid and bright. Some full of fruit, of weird shapes and hue. All was alive in a life that was life. Not just living things, but living beings. They were not just alive, they were life in its essence. Each leaf, blade of grass, creature and fish, bird and reptile were not just alive. It's like they were emanating life. This mighty and majestic landscape went on and on. What I thought were small hills in the distance turned out to be mighty mountain ranges that made the Himalayas look like a badly thought up joke in comparison. The waterfall immediately to my left, upon arrival there. Wow. It was, I later found out, over 300 kilometers from where I floated, and even at that distance it was so utterly magnificent, rising up and up above eye level, like looking up at a river. It descended down the side of a small, compared to some of the other mountains there, 100 kilometers high, cliff face falling, cascading, majestic, and throwing off rainbows in its mighty mist. I could go on and on about the details, but I am going to stick with the main part, and that is who was standing or floating there beside me. Who, until that moment, I had not noticed. I turned to my right, and wow, there was this bloke, who I immediately knew was the creator of all I saw. I didn't know his name, I just knew he was responsible for it all. He was about 6 foot, medium build, strong yet supple. He had an air of authority about him, like a mighty fighter, who could whip anyone, but with ease, and knew it, but was humble and gentle, and didn't brag about it. His hair was white, but not from age, more of a symbol of purity, kind of white, like a judge would wear a white wig as a symbol. But this hair was no wig, it was him, it was his own. He wore a sort of robe, not ancient yet not modern, like a royal robe of state. Across his chest, from right shoulder to left hip, was a red-purple sash about 6 inches wide, interwoven with gold threads. The robe went to just above his ankles. He had sandals on, but not ancient-looking, more of a modern look. But in looking there at his feet, I saw holes in them. Then with a shock I saw his hands. They too had holes in them, just at the ends of his wrists, each hole about half an inch wide. There was no blood, and the wounds were not festty or horrible. They were worn like a status symbol, a mark more than an annoying wound. I had the urge to kneel, but realized I didn't have a body to kneel with, so I just looked at him, knowing he could read every thought, and knew my intent was to kneel if only I could have. He knew. I'm just going to go up here, back again. He just smiled at me, joy glittering in his eyes so blue, gold, green, all colours, fire eyes of fire, like an opal of magnificent brilliance. He seemed to radiate a real friendliness, happiness, total peace, yet utter and mighty authority. You felt at ease with him, yet so humble as well. I finally said to him, "Well, I thought it. You are God." He said simply, "I am." I thought to myself, this can't be real. This is no God. I am imagining all this. I must be. He smiled even broader. If that were possible. Like he was amused at my simple yet certain belief in nothing. It was not It was not a snide enjoyment he was feeling. It was more like you would smile at a toddler who said something cute. He said, knowing my turmoil and thoughts, "Come, let me show you your destiny," as we started moving through the air. That was not air, gliding off at about 60 kilometers an hour, it seemed. I was able to measure the speed we were moving because we floated over a sort of highway with trees planted at regular intervals along it. It was a twin highway, divided in two by a river. The river was about 40 meters across, clear as crystal, pure and so inviting. I had the urge to go and swim in it, for some reason, even though I didn't actually have a solid body. The highway was about 15 meters across on each side of the river, and spaced about 200 meters apart were bridges. There were people down there below us, ordinary people, some dressed in modern garb, some in robes like togas, some wearing nothing but light, if that's possible. All were people. They looked to be about 25 or so, healthy, vibrant, solid and real. I saw children as well, playing in the river, laughing and jumping off the bridges into the water. Laughter, lots of laughter and joy. It seemed to permeate this amazing place. Here and there among the people I saw things, like people but different, taller, powerful yet gentle, talking to people, walking with them. Some carried books and other things. They seemed to be instructing and also being instructed, like they were learning as well. These, as it turns out, were angels, and no, they did not have wings. Come on. I saw benches, tables set along the river under the trees. People and beings alike would sit and talk, smiling, laughing, some in deep thought of conversation, some were being light-hearted, some being serious, like they were contemplating some new revelation they had just stumbled upon. In all it was a very busy yet very relaxed scene. The trees themselves were amazing, mighty branches spreading out in majestic awnings of life over the river and the benches below. I saw fruit in the trees, gold, green, orange, purple, blue, all sorts of colours. They were picking the fruit here and there and casually eating it, like it was just a done thing, and there was no scraps. There were no pips or skins left over. People looked up at us as we passed overhead. They waved and smiled at both of us. Yes, I was very visible to them. I was not sure how to wave back because I had nobody to wave with. Jesus, or Yeshua, or whatever you want to call him, waved back, smiling, laughing, joyful, at peace with his creatures. I looked out beyond to what was ahead of us. I saw fields stretching on and on and on. I saw lights dotted here and there over these fields. I asked Jesus, "What are those lights?" He said, "They are cities or towns, dwellings and hubs of commerce." Commerce, I thought. Of what USC is commerce in this place? He just looked at me and smiled and said, "You will know in time." "See, there is our destination," he said, pointing directly to the end of the highway. I looked way ahead. Seemed like thousands of kilometers into the far distance. There was a bright light, like a brilliant sunrise, multi-hued, radiating colours beyond description, and the music you could feel, the music coming from it. It was everywhere, yet I was not actually conscious of it till I concentrated on it. Harmony, pure harmony, rising from the stanza to the next to reach a crescendo, only to fade out into the next phase. Every building to a climax, but never reaching it. Music without beat, without end, timeless, eternal, pure. I was stunned. Nothing on earth was anything like this music of colour, blended with sound.